ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रबुधानंद भगवान की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता chapter number 6 and verse number 8 we will try to understand. It's a long description of this. A wise person's attitude with reference to all objects in the world is discussed in this verse. So let us read the verse first. ज्ञान विज्ञान तृप्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रिय युक्तः इति उच्यते योगी समलोष्टकाञ्चन। ज्ञान विज्ञान तृप्त आत्मा। ज्ञान विज्ञान तृप्त आत्मा, one whose mind is content in the knowledge of the self, whose mind is content in the knowledge of self. Kutastha, one who remains unchanged. Vijitendriya, one who has mastered the sense organs. The one who has mastered the sense organs and organs of action, all the organs, sense organs and organs of action. Actions are hands, legs. So he has mastered all actions, organs of action. Samaloshta ashakam kanchana, one for whom a clump of earth, a stone and gold are the same. He doesn't see any difference between the gold or the stone or the earth, mud, mitti. Yuktah, a composed person. Yogi iti, as a yogi uchyate is referred to. One whose mind is content in the knowledge of the self, who remains unchanged. The one who remains unchanged, who has mastered the sense organs and organs of action, for whom the clump of earth, a stone, and gold are the same, this composed person is referred to as yogi. Who is referred to yogi? Who is referred as yogi? The one whose mind is content in the knowledge, the one whose mind is contented with the knowledge, whose mind is always thinking about the knowledge, who is deep rooted in the knowledge of the self, who is in the clear understanding of self, who remains unchanged. He is not changed, his mind remains unchanged. Whatever happens, because of knowledge, his mind remains unchanged. And the one who has mastered all the sense organs. Mastering sense organs means is not affected. He has mastered his desires, is not affected by sukha or dukkha. The person has mastered all the organs of action, for whom everything is same. There is no difference between the mud, earth, or the stone, or the gold, or any other thing. Everything remains same for him. Krishna uses the word yogi in 3 ways throughout the Gita. He talks about karma yogi as a yogi. Who are all the yogis? The karma yogi, the one who is doing karma as yoga, is karma yogi. He also refers to the person who is committed to dhyana, to the life of meditation, a life of sannyasa as a yogi, is a jnani. He calls the jnani a yogi as well. In these 3 contexts, when we find the word yogi is used, in this verse, yogi means jnani, the one who has done all other things, who has done karma yoga, dhyana yoga, and then he is a jnana yogi. By using the word in this way here, Krishna is pointing out the flow, the order involved in gaining the knowledge, that is moksha. This is the order. What is the order? Order is karma yoga, dhyana yoga, and then jnana yoga. The person is first karma yogi, then dhyana yogi, which we just saw, no? Dhyana yogi, and then becomes a jnana yogi, jnani. In this verse, yogi means jnani, a person of knowledge. By using the word in this way here, Krishna is pointing out the flow, the order involved in gaining knowledge, that is moksha. Before taking up the topic of meditation, Krishna says that one must lift oneself up and not destroy oneself. The one who That one who knows oneself is steadfast, in fact, of all opposites. And that one who wants to attain this knowledge must commit himself or herself to the life of Karma Yoga. Having said all this, Krishna is now discussing the Yoga Arudha. Yoga Arudha. One who has mounted the horse of yoga, in other words, the person of wisdom. Jnana and Vijnana. The wise person is called Jnana Vijnana Tript Atma. Both Jnana and Vijnana means knowledge. But when they appear together, Vijnana is wiser. Vaishesha. Vishesha Jnana. Vijnana means knowledge about a particular thing. Vijnana. Vishesha Jnana. Specific or particular knowledge, and is something more than Jnana. Since both words means knowledge, when they appear together here, there is a connection between the two, which is purely contextual. When they appear together as they do in this compound describing a wise person, Jnana is to be understood as something little less than Vijnana. Shankaracharya ji makes it clear by defining Jnana as that particular knowledge conveyed by the meaning of the word Shastra. And explaining Vijnana, he says, that is referred to totally assimilated and owned by Jnana. That is aparoksha Jnana, without any pratibandhakas, inhibiting factors. Between a person and the knowledge he has, there is a certain distance. For instance, that when I tell you that the Shastra says Atma is Brahman, the statement itself is very clear to you, which is kind of knowledge. Yet you have to realize it. You have to recognize the fact. So there is a stage where knowledge is in form of some insight imbued with Shraddha or a faith, pending discovery. The possibility of the self being Brahman is established. At the same time, the Shastra say is also established, meaning that there is no confusion about whether the Shastra is talking about the difference between the individual, the Lord, and the world of non-difference between them. शास्त्र में जब कहा जाता है कि आत्मा ही ब्रह्मन है, इट इज वेरी क्लियर टू यू. आप बिल्कुल समझ जाते हैं इस बात को कि हाँ जी, आत्मा ही ब्रह्मन है. बट येट टू रियलाइज इट. रियलाइज मीन्स अभी समझना बाकी है. मान तो गए आप, क्योंकि शास्त्र में लिखा है, इसीलिए आपको शास्त्र में श्रद्धा है. When there is Shraddha in Shastra, you agree to it. Yes, whatever Shastra is saying is correct. But let me verify it. Let me understand the fact. Let me recognize the fact. किसी ने आकर कहा कि ये सर्प नहीं, रज्जु है, रस्सी है, तो आप मान तो गए, क्योंकि आपको उस व्यक्ति में, उस व्यक्ति के ज्ञान में श्रद्धा है, आप मान गए. बट आपने वेरीफाई नहीं किया अभी फैक्ट. मान गए क्योंकि श्रद्धा है. जी हाँ, आप कहते हैं तो ये रस्सी है, सर्प नहीं है, मगर अभी आप उसको आपने मान तो लिया लेकिन जाना नहीं है, फैक्ट नहीं अभी समझना है, पूरी तरह नहीं, क्लियर नहीं है, आप रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं किया आपने। The knowledge jnana contained in the shastra is converted into vijnana, for which there is analysis. शास्त्र में जो लिखा गया है उसे आप जब समझते हैं, कन्वर्ट करते हैं, तो वो विज्ञान होता है। फॉर विच देयर इज एनालिसिस, मनन एंड कंटेम्पलेशन, निदिध्यासन। दिस conversion is not necessary, however, if the person is an adhikari, one whose mind is properly prepared for the knowledge, because the person has viveka and vairagya. जिसको विवेक और वैराग्य होगा, discrimination and dispassion, one recognizes the fact immediately upon receiving the knowledge. There is no problem obstructing the person's understanding because of one's maturity. This maturity is marked by mind that does not concern itself with the past or future. This is sanest kind of mind one can have, and is the mind that a sannyasi enjoys. A psychiatrist who traveled and met people from all over the world wrote a book in which he said that mind of a sannyasi is the sanest mind. I think this is due to the sannyasi's freedom from concern for tomorrow. Having no money or possession and wanting none, a sannyasi is not concerned with maintaining or protecting anything. If you do not have money and you want money, you are a poor person. And being poor is your problem. On the other hand, if you have money, others may think that you have no problem regarding money, but you have the problem of protecting the money. You have the problem of what you have, to protect it. Protect your possessions. Thus both the rich and the poor have problem. Whereas the person who does not care what he or she has is the sanest person, a sannyasi. One who is oneself alone. In such a person, if such a person listen to Shastra, there is no conversion necessary. Any doubt that may rise is taken care of in a Shravan and Manan process, and then it is over. It is, the knowledge is gained. The need to convert jnana into vijnana. Generally, a person is not a complete adhikari. While the desire to be liberated, mumukshutva, the desire for knowledge, jigyasa, may be there, the person has to convert his or her jnana into vijnana by manana, nididhyasana, and anything else that may be required. In this process, the jnana that one has about Atma becomes vijnana, immediate knowledge of the self, aparoksha jnana. The Shastra does not give you indirect knowledge. Paroksha jnana, that is tattvattvamasi, you are Brahman, and it is a fact because the Shastra's vision is a fact. This knowledge has to be as true as the fact. You cannot have indirect knowledge here. At most, paroksha jnana can refer to insight a person who has with reference to Atma being Brahman as opposed to Vijnana, the truth of that knowledge. The Shraddha you have about Atma, I being Brahman, the whole helps you do the manana and nididhyasana that converts the jnana into vijnana. The process of conversion is called swa-anubhava karana, meaning aparoksha karana, converting it to immediate knowledge. Anubhava means immediate knowledge, and the word Swanubhava with reference to this knowledge means that whatever has been revealed about the self is no more an insight or a possibility, no more an article of faith, but immediate knowledge. There is sure recognition, the immediate knowledge of the fact that I am Brahman, and this sure knowledge is Vijnana. One who has enough Atma Buddhi, Alama Buddhi, Atma Buddhi. Through Jnana and Vijnana, a person is Tripta. A beautiful Sanskrit word defined by Shankara, Sajjanta Alama Pratyaya, one who has sense of satisfaction. Tripta, the person who has sense of satisfaction, completeness in oneself. Alama, alama, alam means adequate or enough. Sanjata alama pratyaya means the one whom this recognition that it is enough or there is nothing wanting in me has been born due to the knowledge, and that is Sat Chit Anand Atma. That kind of person has a Sat Chit Anand Atma. This person is always happy, satisfied with whatever comes. And how does one become Sanjat Alama Pratyaya? Only by Jnana and Vijnana. Herein the self is no more found to be inadequate. The person is freed from all the notions previously held about the self. In its own essential glory, the self is Purna, fullness, meaning that there is nothing that is separate from the self, and the one for whom Atma is Purna Atma, thus a person who is Sanjat Alam Pratyaya is called Tripta here. The word Atma in this compound Jnana, Vijnana, Tripta Atma means the mind, Antakarana. So Trapt in one whose mind has Alama, an attitude born of Jnana and Vijnana, inside the Shraddha. Jnana, Vijnana, insight and Shraddha. This attitude is born of Jnana and has been converted into immediate knowledge of oneself, Vijnana. The definition of a wise person, Jnana, Vijnana, Tripta Atma, also reveals the nature of the knowledge itself. This is the advantage of Sanskrit compounds. Not only do they name a person, they also serve as definitions. The wise person is not swayed by anything external or internal. The wise person is also described here in this verse as Kutastha, one who remains like an anvil, a solid iron block upon which the blacksmiths of yesteryears hammered red-hot iron bits into different shapes. Knives used to be made this way. The point here is that for all the hammering that went on, the anvil itself never changed. Since the iron होता है ना, आयरन जिसके ऊपर रख के और फिर ठोका जाता है, वो आयरन कभी अपना शेप नहीं बदलती, कितना मर्जी ठोको, वो कूटस्थ है. Therefore, a person who does not change and allow all possible changes to take place is called Kutastha. You have to be like the mind, Kutastha. Whatever may come, no change. The person is like the Atma is not moved by anything. In his commentary to this verse, Shankaracharya ji defined Kutastha as aparakampya, The one who is not swayed away by any situation, internally or externally, because one is Jnana Vijnana Tripti Atma. This person has gone through the necessary disciplines and has gained the knowledge of Atma as fullness, without which all problems exist. Having gained this knowledge, there is nothing inside or outside to disturb the person. Such a person is strong and unshaken, aprakampya, whose how qualifications become spontaneous virtues. The beauty of a person is not in one's nose or hair or color, it is in the strength, gentleness, and compassion of the person. Compassion is the readiness to share one's time, mind, and wisdom, wealth, and so on. There are very few compensated people. Compassionate people. A compassionate person is person who is ready to share his time. Nobody has time in today's world. Time is very precious. Mind, no way. Wisdom, don't have it, sir. Wealth to hai hi nahi, can't share. And so on. This readiness to share is strength. Only a strong person, only a very strong, steady person can be compassionate. Only a truly rich person can share in this way. Therefore, this compassion is the beauty and also the strength of the person. Compassion is not something that one melts into, although it is sometimes looks as though out of sheer compassion people liquefy themselves to the extent that they begin to cry at the plight of another. But this is not compassion, nor does it help anyone. If someone requires help from you and you become liquefied in the process, of what help is that? Now you require help from yet another person who may also get liquefied in this process. We need a solid people who have the compassion called strength, the compassion that requires inner satisfaction. Such a person is tripta. किसी से पैसा मांगने गए, आपको तकलीफ थी, बिजनेस में नुकसान हुआ, पैसा मांगने गए कि भाई थोड़ा हमारे को हेल्प करो, और वो भाई साहब जिससे आप हेल्प मांगने गए हैं वो खुद ही रो दिए कि भाई साहब क्या हेल्प करें, और वो अमीर आदमी होते हुए भी। ऐसा आदमी क्या हेल्प करेगा जो आपका दुख देखकर खुद भी रो पड़े और उसका अपना दुख शामिल हो जाए, फिर आप दोनों मिलके तीसरे के पास जाना। Compassionate, rock solid. Please understand that we are not setting up ideals for ourselves. Rather there is a condition that is to be understood, wherein the sense organs, meaning the mind and all the fancies, are always mastered. The one who has mastered all the fancies is a compassionate. पैसा देना, पैसे से मदद करना ही मदद नहीं होती। अगर किसी को नुकसान हो जाए और पैसे की ज़रूरत है तो उसकी मदद पैसे से ही नहीं होती। कभी कभी जो कुटस्थ आदमी, कूटस्थ मनुष्य होते हैं, वो कुछ ऐसा देते हैं जिससे उसकी वो तकलीफ दूर हो जाती है। बहुत मुश्किल है ये बात समझनी। इसीलिए अंग्रेजी में एक कहावत है, किसी को भीख देकर भिखारी मत बनाओ, उसे ज्ञान देकर कर्मनिष्ठ बनाओ, उसे कुछ करने का ज्ञान दो ताकि वो कुछ करे। वो कूटस्थ है। बड़े बनने का मतलब है किसी को परमानेंट बड़ा बना देना। जो सामने सबको बड़ा बना दे वो बड़ा है। बड़ा कौन है? जिसके पास ज़्यादा धन है, जिसके पास ज्ञान है, जिसके पास मान सम्मान है, जिसके पास बहुत ताकत है, वो बड़ा नहीं है। बड़ा वो है जो सामने वाले को बड़ा बना दे। जो अपने आप को छोटा समझता उसे बड़ा बना दे। वो बड़ा, वो कूटस्थ है। वो किसी चीज से बड़ा नहीं बना, ना धन से, ना ज्ञान से, सिर्फ ना धन से, सिर्फ ना ज्ञान से, ना पावर से, ना कोई सम्मान से। वो सिर्फ बड़ा है तो वो स्थिर बुद्धि से, वो तृप्त आत्मा है, एक तृप्त आत्मा। It means that eyes do not ask, come on, take me to see something. And ears do not say, I am tired of listening to Vedanta, take me to listen some music. It is the unmastered mind with its fantasies and makes one go after sense objects with refer to fancies. Then the person described here is Vijita Indriya, that the person wants to do is done, and what one does not want to do is not done, because Vijita Indriya has this composure or wisdom. The person is called Yuktaha. What were previously sadhanas for him as a mumukshu are now natural spontaneous virtues of a wise person. This is the person Krishna calls yogi here. The only security is knowing one is secure in oneself. Security is in oneself. Further, the person is samaloshat asama akanchana, samaloshta asama kanchana, asham. One for whom loshta, a clod of earth, मिट्टी का ढेला, asama means stone, patthar, and kanchana, gold, are one and the same, sama, equal. It does not mean that the person sees all three as clod of earth, or as a stone or as a gold. Equal sama is purely in terms of person's response to the object. जब ये कहा जाता है ना कि पत्थर, मिट्टी, सोना सब एक बराबर है जिसके लिए, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि सब के सब एक जैसे हो गए। इसका मतलब ये कि वो वो पुरुष, वो जीव, वो आत्मा, उसके लिए इन तीनों का कोई महत्व नहीं है। चाहे वो मिट्टी हो, चाहे वो पत्थर हो, चाहे सोना हो, उसका इन तीनों के प्रति व्यवहार वही रहेगा। उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता आप उसके सामने सोने की थाली में खाना लेकर आओ, चाहे चांदी की थाली में खाना लेकर आओ, चाहे स्टील की थाली में खाना लेकर आओ, चाहे मिट्टी के बर्तन में खाना लाओ, चाहे कागज के दोने में खाना लाओ, चाहे, उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। उसके लिए तीनों, सबका मतलब महत्व एक ही है। वो उसे वस्तु के रूप में जान चुका है कि ये अवस्तु है, असत्य है। असत का मतलब वो झूठे हो गए नहीं है, असत का मतलब है इनकी कोई वैल्यू नहीं, उसका मतलब है असत। फॉर सामा लोष्ट असम कंचन, there is no security in any of them. For such a person there is no more security in precious stone or gold than there is in clod of earth or simple rock. Any one of three is good as the other two. उसको इनमें कोई सिक्योरिटी नजर नहीं आ रही कि ये मेरे पास सोना रहेगा तो मेरे को आगे कोई, क्योंकि उसके लिए आगे पीछे ऊपर नीचे सब बराबर है। वो साम है, एक दृष्टि है उसकी। Any one of the three is as good as the other two, even though the person understands what gold is and its value. One knows that it does not give security, and that one's only security is oneself alone. So the description of the wise person, Samaloshta Asama Kanchana, is purely with reference to security. The only security there is to know oneself as the truth of everything, without which nothing exists. When this person is clear, the person is secure, and because he or she is secure, the person requires no security whatsoever. This being the case, what would one's vision be towards the so-called securities of gold and the likes? Of course, there would be an objective understanding of gold as gold, earth as earth, stone as stone, and their respective value based on their availability to society. Gold is definitely more valuable than stones because the gold is buried under the earth and stone is not. If this situation were reversed, stone would definitely be considered to be more precious than gold, and stone ornaments would be everywhere. Essentially, the only difference between rock and gold is an objective difference. Gold has a particular atomic weight and is rare, highly malleable, shiny metal not subject to corrosion. Because of these particular qualities, which are its nature, gold has had a value even before it was converted into the base of monetary system. The value that is heightened by it is being thousands of feet down under the ground. But regardless of how greedy or gold hungry a person is, no one will eat gold. Everyone knows that gold, even in the form of biscuit, is metal and is therefore not edible. This is what is meant by the objective value of an object. गोल्ड बिस्किट बोलने से उसको खाने वाला नहीं होता. गोल्ड बिस्किट का वो मेटल ही है, अभी भी वो धातु ही रहेगा. बिस्किट बोलने, बिस्किट का, गोल्ड का बिस्किट बनाने से भी वो धातु ही रहेगा, खाने की चीज नहीं बनेगी. Insecurity is due to one's subjective value. It is the subjective value thinking gold is security that makes person crazy. But does gold always give you security? For instance, I ask you to watch over a bundle of gold ornaments for me, valued at several $100,000 while I am away. At first you may agree until you find that you cannot sleep. You keep waking up to see that the gold is still there. Whereas if I ask you to keep an old vacuum cleaner for me, which weighs more than the gold, you will not lose any sleep. Even though there is lot more metal in the vacuum cleaner than there is in gold, it is not a problem because it does not have the same value as gold. Therefore, does gold give you any security or insecurity? Similarly, if you are walking on the street with no money, there is no problem. Whereas if you are carrying money, you feel insecure and look around to see if any muggers are around. In fact, your very look will signal such people. Muggers are not unintelligent. We are the unintelligent ones. When you have money, it is more intelligent not to look around as though you are expecting to be robbed. The point to note is all of this is that money is not security, in spite of what you may think, and because it is security, money can make you more insecure. Money does have an objective value. It has buying power, which can provide you with certain comfort. But if you see more in money, if you think that it will make you secure, then the value you have for it is purely subjective. Everything is subject to change. It is always in a flux. The self alone remains changeless, and that self is me. I am the only one who is secure. Everything else is ever changing. My mind is constantly changing, and so are my thoughts and the objects of thoughts. Whatever changes is time bound, it has beginning and an end. The only thing that remains untouched and comes out unscratched, scratched in all of this is I, the self. If knowledge of this I is clear, if you have this vision of yourself as secure, then you are free person. You are a Jnana Vijnana Tripta Atma. The gold will not fulfill you. Gold is not going to make you tript. No dhan can make you tript. Only Jnana Vijnana Tripta Atma. You are the one who requires nothing to be free. You simply look out and see the world as it is. The world that you see is a simple world because you do not project all your nonsense onto it. The world remains as it is and you are secure, free person. And why does this freedom seem so difficult to gain? Perhaps it is simple. In fact, it is yourself. Because people always look for something big. This freedom, this security, this seems difficult to gain. The self being infinite is not something that is produced. Since it is not produced, it cannot be gained through effort. As long as you look for something that can be produced by your effort, you will always miss out. In areas where you need to grow, effort certainly has its place and involves alertness among other things. Whereas here, fundamentally speaking, you are already secure. There is no security in objects. Gold is an object. Money is object. Gold represents all desirable objects, including relationships. There is a story told about a guru and his disciple. It seems that one Shishya, wanting to test the guru's vairagya, dispassion, placed gold coins under his pillow. When the saint placed his head on the pillow, he found that he could not sleep. He tried everything, but still he could not fall asleep. So great was his vairagya. The Shishya was watching all this, realized his mistake, and prostrating to the Guru, admitted that he had done. When he removed the gold coin, and the Guru fell asleep. On hearing this story, one can question whether the Guru really had great vairagya. Suppose one placed gold coin under the pillow of the person for whom gold was everything. This person also would not be able to sleep, fearing that someone would take the coin. Or if the person did sleep and woke up to find the coin was gone, he or she would not sleep again until the thief has been found and the coin recovered. So we have a person who loses sleep because of the absence of the gold, and another person who loses sleep because of its presence. Who is greater, tell me? Since both are hooked to the gold, how can it be said that one is greater or lesser than the other? If in the Guru's room there may be a variety of metal, a copper vessel, a metal plate, and iron nail to hold his cot together, doorknobs and locks. These metals do not affect the person, whereas gold does. What does it mean? Does the problem belong to the gold or the person? Gold itself does not do anything. It is just that what it is, metal, with its own objective value like other metals. It is Bhagwan's creation. Therefore, to the God-inspired person, how can gold be any different from copper or iron, which is also Bhagwan's creation? Are we to take the story to mean that Guru has a problem or that the Shishya has a problem? it is usually better to give a benefit of doubt to the guru and take the problem to the Shishya's problem. Why? Because sometimes when Shishya praise their guru, their praise may actually belittle the guru without the Shishya intending to do so. In this particular story, the Shishya's vision was that not being able to sleep proved the greatness of the guru's vairagya, but all it did was demonstrate the Shishya's lack of understanding of vairagya, because vairagya may not have been properly understood. The benefit of doubt should go to Mahatma, not to the Shishya or those who wrote about him. In other words, we assume that limitation belongs to the writer, not to the Mahatma, whom we do not know at all. If the person was a Mahatma, he would not have lost sleep over the piece of gold, because as Mahatma, the person is Sama Loshta Asama Kanchana. Whether the object is Loshta, a lump of earth, Asama, a rock, or Kanchana, gold, the person's vision is that each object is the same, in the sense that one's security does not lie outside oneself. This applies not only to the gold but to everything. The gold Kanchana is simply a Upalakshana, meaning that it stands for everything else of the same category. It even stands for the notion that God is there and will protect me. Since God alone is there, where is the question of Him protecting me? This is Jnana. God always, भगवान हमारी रक्षा करते हैं. कैसे? ये ज्ञान की बात है, क्योंकि भगवान ही सब, ये सब कुछ भगवान ही है. तो फिर रक्षा किससे? इसीलिए भगवान ही रक्षा करते हैं. The security of one who is asama loshta, asama kanchana does not depend upon anything, to everything. Whether it is lump of earth or rock, a piece of gold, the person responds equally, meaning indifferently. Since no one has any great response towards a rock or a clump of earth, why are they brought here? Simply to show that the wise person's attitude towards gold is the same as one's attitude towards a pebble or a clump of earth. Just as clump of earth or pebble does not enhance the person's security, neither does the gold. Generally, gold imbues people with the false sense of security. But in fact, an insecure person does not become secure because of gold. In past, the value of gold was purely in terms of its usefulness in ornament. Now it is used in many ways, even in electronics, even in mobile phones. We hear that mobile phone have something of gold, Apple phone. And as a bullion value as well. Currency, on the other hand, loses its value, its buying power due to inflation, whereas gold retains its value. Today in Corona time, gold's value is increasing. So gold is becoming important day by day. Therefore, people have love for gold and retain their money in form of gold. Gold has both intrinsic value and a man-made value, in that it does give you sense of security. This sense of security is false because it does not make you secure. The insecure person does not become secure just because one has some bars or bricks of gold. You won't become secured. You never know. Today you have bought at 52,000 rupees per 10 gram and it reduces to 40,000 rupees. Then what? All your value is gone in a second. The insecure person does not become secure just because one has some gold or bricks of gold. The insecure is always insecure. To have bricks of gold simply means that you are attracting thieves and all those other people who would never visit you otherwise. थोड़ा सोना आने से रिश्तेदार भी आ जाएंगे जो कभी नहीं आते थे. The point being made is that you commonly look upon gold as providing a sense of security, whereas the wise person looks to oneself as alone as secured. In fact, the wise person is the only secured person on the earth because he or she does not require gold or anything else in the world in order to be secured. Further, Bhagavan describes a wise person's attitude towards different type of people. This was different type of objects. We have just completed a wise person attitude with reference to all the objects in the world. Now in verse number 9, Bhagavan will describe the wise person's attitude towards the different type of people, which we will see tomorrow. It's again going to be a long chapter. We'll see this tomorrow. So, wise person's attitude for objects. He doesn't have any attitude. He doesn't want any attitude. He is only one attitude. They all are objects. And he sees everything as Brahman. He doesn't see anything other than Brahman, Ishvara. Therefore, for him, for a wise person, the security lies in oneself, knowing oneself as Ishvara. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Gurubhyo Namaha.